One day in summer, Frog was not feeling well. Toad said,
Frog, you are looking quite green.
But I always look green.
said Frog,
I am a frog.
Today you look very green, even for a frog.
said Toad.
Get into my bed and rest.
Toad made Frog a cup of hot tea. Frog drank the tea and then he said,
Tell me a story while I am resting.
All right,
said Toad.
let me think of a story to tell you.
Toad thought and thought and thought. But he could not think of a story to tell Frog,
I will go out to the porch and walk up and down.
said Toad.
Perhaps that will help me to think of a story.
Toad walked up and down on the porch for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad went into the house and stood on his head.
Why are you standing on your head?
Asked Frog.
I hope that if I stand on my head, it will help me to think of a story.
Said Toad. Toad stood on his head for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad poured a glass of water over his head.
Why are you pouring water over your head?
Asked Frog.
I hope that if I pour water over my head, it will help me to think of a story.
Said Toad. Toad poured many glasses of water over his head, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad began to bang his head off the wall.
Why are you banging your head against the wall?
Asked Frog.
I hope that if I bang my head against the wall hard enough, it will help me to think of a story.
Said Toad.
I am feeling much better now, Toad.
Said Frog.
I do not think I need a story anymore.
Then you get out of bed and let me get into it,
Said Toad.
because now I feel terrible.
Frog said.
Would you like me to tell you a story, Toad?
Yes,
Said Toad.
if you know one.
Once upon a time,
Said Frog.
there were two good friends, a frog and a toad. The frog was not feeling well. He asked his friend the toad to tell him a story. The toad could not think of a story. He walked up and down on the porch, but he could not think of a story. He stood on his head, but he could not think of a story. He poured water over his head, but he could not think of a story. He banged his head against the wall, but he could not think of a story. Then the toad did not feel so well, and the frog was feeling better. So the toad went to bed, and the frog got up and told him a story. The end. How was that, Toad?
Said Frog. But Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep.